An all-new logo for the whole Peugeot brand, for the first time used with the all-new Peugeot 308, the third generation of the compact estate or compact hatch. We have both here for you on Autogefuhl with Thomas here today. We have a complete overview, exterior, interior and driving with the SW. Also a look here at the 308 hatch. We directly start here in the front with the SW. First time we see it in the front. Actually here, this interesting new grille. Small dots on the inside and they get wider to the outside. So this really centers everything on the all new logo right here. A very interesting blue-greenish mixed color. The favorite color for me would of course be Vertigo Blue. We know that already from the predecessor. This is the typical Thomas blue in Autogefühl. Yeah, so that's the first time here for the estate. How does the hatch look like and are there any differences? In the front, hatch and estate are not too different actually. This new front grille, this logo in a similar shape was already available in 1960s, but they had a little bit differently from the color design and the hair of the lion was a little bit different in the shape. So yeah, so the lion got a fresh haircut, or was groomed freshly and therefore it's also a little bit different. So retro style, but modern at the very same time. 4.37 meters or 172 inches is the length here of the 308 hatch. It's a little bit grown in length and also grown in wheelbase. This will have an effect on the rear seating. Wheels come from 16 to 18 inch. These ones here are the biggest 18-inch wheels, and both in the side profile and in the rear, unlike in the front, the hatch and the estate are really different. Here the hatch has the typical C shape here at the back window. This could be painted a little bit better. I think here just the high gloss you just have at the lower end. So this is a crucial difference. And 4.64 meters or 183 inches for the estate model, the SW or SW as the French would say. So 27 centimeters or 11 inches longer than the hatch version. And I think really interesting, they do differ quite a lot. Not so much in the front. We also have the 18-inch wheels here and also the new Peugeot logo at the side profile right there. Then this one here has roof rails, and you can see here in this area, this is really different. So whereas the hatch more had the C shape, here we have a more dynamic shape for the station wagon. That's really interesting. And the really sharp design lines right here. And the differences will be even more interesting in the rear. But what do you think here about the design for the 308? Would you go for the hatch or here for the estate? Tell me in the comments. Come closer for the rear of the estate. Wow, look at that. I mean, this integrated rear wing, it's almost like a ducktail of a sports car or something. Adrian just told me that, hey, doesn't it look like a Ferrari 812 or something like this? Adrian will join me later also for the driving part. Yeah, I think you can really argue about that, but I think this integration of the wing is very well done. And this is totally different here with the estate if you compare it to the hatch. The lamps here, however, tail lamps are actually the same. Then we have in the GT version or GT pack this contrasting lower part here. So overall, I think design-wise, especially with the estate, I think they really nailed it. Or what's your take here?
And now coming to the interior part, let's take a short comparison look. First here, the outgoing model, the 308 second generation, and one of the main competitors, the Seat Leon, here as FR trim. And finally, the all-new Peugeot 308, where we can see a clearly more sophisticated interior design comparing to the predecessor, and also better build quality.
The key fob form itself is not really new, but it also features the new logo right here. And you know, famous Autogefühl test here, door closing sound. That's really solid. Sounds very nice. As for seats, today we have first of all the Allure seat with fabric and leatherette. Then basically the same form goes with the GT, but the GT has microfiber accentuations together with some fabric, and the, let's say, plain GT seat here is normal finished in the front like this with microfiber, no lengthenment, whereas in the GT pack, so that's an even higher trim, here the basic same seats, but then the front part you have this additional element, and by this you can make the front part even a little bit longer or then push it in again, and that is really good, especially if you're taller. By the way, also this one really soft, but it's all leatherette, so no animal material used for the seats. And indeed, the GT pack seats to me bring most comfort, even though they are all somewhat same in the form, Allure, GT and GT pack. Due to this additional element, And also the nice microfiber surface. To me, it just brings most comfort, especially for taller drivers. So really feel, very good right here. Interior overview here with this steering wheel. We know a little bit, some kind of from the 508. Really cool, gaming alike. New assistance systems also with semi-autonomous level 2 functions that will be coming up. GT badge right here because it's a sporty version. Then the digital instruments, they come in 10-inch, either 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional. Hard to pick it up on camera, but it's kind of like 2 layers, really interesting. And you can also switch some of the views on the inside. On the right side here, also 10-inch infotainment system, Apple CarPlay integration or Android Auto, also wirelessly. And then these are 5 hotkeys here. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then another home button. And this is optional, coming beginning from the Allure trim level and here also in the GT trim level. And this is actually a very interesting idea. They're really large. So close up here, infotainment system. Once again, these hotkeys are really kind of fancy, and they're also, they don't have a haptic feedback, but the acoustic one. And climatization then is like this. And yeah, this is of course somewhat a problem while driving, not too easy to do that. So I would have preferred manual climate knobs at some point, like the manual volume knob. So that's my criticism point. The sat-nav, actually, it's definitely a step forward. You can see here how fast it is, but here the pinch and zoom could definitely be a little bit more responsive. But overall, a big step forward here, and the Apple CarPlay integration is also quite nice. And there's also the focal sound system here. And, let's go with here. And we actually have a quite decent sound here. Now to the rear compartment, and the question is also difference, hatch, der Berlin as the French say, and also with the Estate. How is it different? First of all, doors here are hard pack at the inside at the rear, but that's in this segment also quite common. And then here in the hatch, the, let's say, smaller version, the wheelbase actually is a little bit shorter here, but the knee room here, knee space, is the same, both for hatch and Estate. That's very interesting. Let's now get to the back of the Estate. And it has 5.5 centimeters or 2 inches more wheelbase than the hatch. However, that all went into the trunk, Peugeot said, and indeed the legroom is actually kind of identical here in the Estate version and also in the hatch. I can just prove that. So you don't gain more rear comfort or something. It's nothing special here in the rear. Headroom is a little bit more than in the hatch, but that's about it. And trunk comparison, starting here with the hatch. Interesting that it's hidden here. The button is hidden right there, and this is really exclusive to the hatch. So over 400 liters here, whereas the Estate is at over 600 liters. And here the length is around 30 inches or 77 centimeters. Let's put the backpack inside, you can really see it right here. Now the trunk of the Estate, around 200 liters more if you compare it to the hatch, so more than 600 liters. And you might remember with the hatch we were at around 77 centimeters, so look at that, like between 30 and 31 inches. And here, this is what we have more in trunk. So this part here, this is what is more in the trunk now at 40 inches or just more than a meter. And that, of course, makes you more flexible. Engine time, you'll have a 1.2 liter 3-cylinder turbo petrol engine with 110 or 130 horsepower, the one you can see here at the moment. This is, by the way, here for charging the battery while being here in the studio all day. Then you have a 1.5 liter diesel, also with 130 horsepower, and last but not least, a 1.6 liter turbo petrol engine mated to an electric motor. And this plug-in hybrid will have 180 horsepower, or in the GT, 225 horsepower. And if you have the plug-in hybrid, by the way, 12 kilowatt hour battery. It's a known PF system here from the French corporation, and they have around like 40 kilometers, 25 miles of electric range. And we're starting our driving part here with a new Peugeot 308 station wagon, 5.5 centimeters longer in wheelbase than the hatch. So most of the stuff we say will both count also for the hatch. So this is very interesting because to me it feels a little bit like the 508, so the more grown-up model. AJ is joining me for the driving part here, so always great to have comments also as a passenger, and of course you just see more with 4 eyes definitely. So the first thing I noticed driving the new version here, the noise insulation is better now, although this still has some car move rep, which is not the best for the for the noise behavior and stuff. But definitely a little bit more silent in here. That's definitely a step ahead. Now we switched cameras, put it here to the panoramic roof to give you a better view to the front here in this dynamic driving part, and starting in normal hybrid mode, this already feels quite good. The steering feeling overall is not that natural, I think. It's, fun and has this arcade style feeling because it's so small, but it doesn't give you the most natural experience. What do you think? Shall we try sport mode again? Let's check it out. There we go. Now more power from the petrol engine. Of course, also more sound. And yeah, I think it's a lot of fun, definitely. And you get this computer game feeling. But yeah, I think it should be more natural in the feeling. I mean, you also drove around. What do you think about steering feel here, AJ?
I definitely understand what you're meaning with the steering feel, but you're not going to get so much better steering feel from other cars in this segment, and I think, because of course if you're getting the Octavia RS or something, that's a different story, but for something quite standard, I don't really mind the steering feel. But the fact that it's so small, the wheel itself, and it's such a quick steering rack, I think with the chassis and the steering, it's a really fun car to drive on twisty roads.
Yeah, you get like a really unique feeling, definitely.
Yeah.
And I mean, we talked about this. I think we both agree that the chassis is really good. And that's actually, when you look on paper, also one of the main changes. So comparing to the predecessor, they now improved chassis stiffness by 25%. And I can really say, I really feel that. Do you feel any flexing of the chassis?
No, and exactly, that stiffness definitely is playing such a big role, because the chassis, the suspension might not be very sophisticated, but it has a nice flatness. And there is no flex. I don't feel any flex.
So what we've done now is we came from the plug-in hybrid, 1.6 liter, 4-cylinder petrol engine plus electric motor, all front-wheel drive, 225 horsepower. Now switched to a more, let's say, basic version. This is the 1.2 liter 3-cylinder petrol engine with 130 horsepower, and also not the GT anymore, but the Allure. So we also have these fabric seats here instead of the sport seats with microfiber. So, and the bright ceiling. So a lot of differences now. The question is, how does this one drive now?
So, acceleration, not great, but the engine sounds a lot louder.
Yeah,
of course,
this 3-cylinder sounds actually quite interesting. It's unique, right?
I agree with you. A lot of people, in the past, we also weren't the biggest fans of these Turbo 3 with the thrum, but somehow, because of that little bit of gruffness, it sounds more exciting in a way. When you don't have a great V8 or inline 6 or something, I think a nice thrummy 3-cylinder can actually be pretty fun to listen to.
Yeah, I think the acceleration here for lower speeds and for like inner city, countryside and so on, this was actually totally fine. We also have the automatic gearbox. This, the new 308 can also be bought, of course, with the manual in low spec versions, but here also with the automatic gearbox. And I think the gears, to me also as a passenger here, was actually quite smooth in the transition, Mm-hmm. How do you feel?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Let's go into sport mode now that we're on a little bit of a winding road.
And shifting down earlier, you felt that,
Shifts down earlier. I do have paddle shifters as well to take control. But there is definitely a lot of top-end, mid-range to top-end power in this 3-cylinder engine. So it's nice because you get the engine revving, you hear the sound, and that gives you that little bit more power anyway in the top end. So I think it's a bit sporty that way.
So I would say, I'm not sure if you share my opinion, if you want to save some money, don't want to get the plug-in hybrid because of the higher entry price, I think this engine will be absolutely fine, right, power-wise?
Yeah,